forgot that. But then Tim and Natalie were ready.
All right, welcome everybody. Here we go. We talk about the create performance task. As we get into that, whether you're taking this for AP or not, it's a really good project. We'll see hopefully tonight ways that you can either support students who are taking for the AP or use the rubric at least as a starting spot to allow students at the end of the course or sometime in the course when they're ready to have some time to develop their own project. We'll see tonight the rubric is very loose but defined, certain requirements we have to hit, but completely open-ended for kids to take whatever path they would like. We'll see what we're going to do tonight there. Our opener here, we'll have a chance to grade using the rubric, see some sample performance tasks, and with a group of 3 kind of decide if points were met on the rubric. Natalie, take us through how we can support our students as they work and the resources that are available in code.org. We'll wrap up and we'll be on our way. Norms, yeah, fun stuff. Before we go into the reconnect, I think, Natalie, you had some questions from the pre-survey to hit.
Yes, hello.
Yep.
Welcome back. We were looking at the pre-survey for the workshop, and there was a question about the name of the course and how it is going to be posted in your course description. And the name was Computer Science Principles, and that works just fine. That's how I also name mine in my course catalog at school. There was a brief description that also works. Code.org has a curriculum guide, and there's a lot of nice words and language that you can feel free to recycle. So when you are on your landing page, explore the curriculum guide too, if you need extra information on the units and a brief unit description. There was a question about the units and classes being taught for a semester. The way I look at the curriculum is there are 2 emphases. One is general concepts and computer science concepts, and you're looking at unit 1, 2, 6 with the algorithms. And then there's the other section that is more for the programming piece, unit 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8 with the project. So it all depends how you want to structure your instruction. I noticed that if I want an emphasis on programming, you definitely want to start with 3 and do not skip the bubbles or the puzzles, and go 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, because they all build on each other. So that will be for that. And someone mentioned the national championship, but I don't follow sports, so I'm sorry. I had to ask what's going on tonight, because I don't know. I'm sorry. I think it was football, right? I'm more like a soccer now. If there was a World Cup, yes, I'd probably be gone.
It'd probably be a 5-hour game. Hopefully it'll still be a game when we're finished. I'm not sure who I'm rooting for there. Lesser a couple of Eagles, maybe. Is anybody in Alabama or a Georgia fan specifically? I just got lost. There we go. Wrong direction. This is the stuff that we did in our asynchronous work. Hope we had a chance to look at the lessons with the create performance task survival. There's some good stuff there. We'll see a bit more of that tonight. We're going to do here in a minute is get in a breakout room with a partner. Back in module 4, we talked about a 30, 60, 90-day plan. A lot of that was like, hey, centered on how do I get kids signed up for next year? Maybe you've had some success, maybe you haven't. Or maybe there's still time to grab those kids and pull those kids. And we talked a lot about the groups that we really wanted to make an intentional effort to target so that our classrooms looked like our school. Our classrooms are representative of our school as a whole and all the subgroups, or as much as we can, right? So we'll have just a 5-minute time to reconnect and share with the partner how that's going, what you're hoping to do in the next few weeks. And then if there's any successes you've had making an inclusive classroom where students are supported and having a safe place to take risks, share those out. Have a chance to reconnect here. So Natalie will send, or excuse me, Allison will send us out in pairs for 5 minutes. It's like almost everybody back, or everybody, Allison?
Now they're coming in.
Okay.
Now we're good.
All right. Who's got a success? Who did a good recruiting pitch? Who got some kids signed up? Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know. I was talking with John, and I don't really know, other than we talked it up with students, and we talked up the class with the guidance counselors quite a bit. And I think you guys have talked about this before. The class that I'm creating with my co-teacher is a class of kids with IEPs, kids without IEPs, and ELL students. So we purposely set that type of class up and that type of population for our class. And we're at capacity. We've had to turn kids away and kind of postpone them until the next time it's offered. But that's the only thing that I can think of. We just didn't have, we've got
That's awesome.
a computer science program at the school, and a robotics program, and I think that probably helped, but we didn't really have too much trouble getting kids to sign up for it.
Getting that buy-in with the counselors, that's huge. That's awesome. You got full classes. Anybody else have success or attempts at success? Looks like a couple of us have a few more weeks. They can learn from somebody tonight, maybe before they have their recruiting pitch.
I got to, my stuff started the second semester, and I teach the entire 9th grade. So I had a whole semester where I got to talk to the entire 9th grade about joining computer science. So that was fun.
Yeah. I have a theory that the kids just have to hear the term computer science like 20 times. And the 21st time or whatever it is, they're finally like, okay, fine, I'll do it. It just sounds hard. It sounds, then they get worn down. They can start hearing, they can start doing it. Who else has a success?
I was going to share, I have an attempt at a success. We'll see in the future whether it was successful or not. But in December, for the Hour of Code week, I had my class plan a Hour of Code event with the elementary students. And so they had stations set up and did little like robotics and different computer science kits from the AEA and stuff with them. And then we also did an Hour of Code where they planned with the middle school students, and they led, each of them were in charge of a middle school grade. And so they had to, we actually used the code.org activity for that. And so they had to introduce the middle schoolers to it. So I'm hoping that that sparks more interest in the future.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. That stuff, man, when that stuff works, it's so much fun. Cool. Thanks for sharing, guys. I know we're all trying, right? We got everything going, and we're trying to do our best. So we appreciate that, of course. Heading into this next part here. We're gonna talk about this grading the performance tasks from a standpoint of, so we can understand best how to help our students, or how to prep our students, and what to watch for, and how they need to be phrasing things and all that kind of good stuff, and what their program needs to actually entail as we go. We're going to spend 24 minutes in a group of 3 Natalie and I think we'll be in about 14 or 15 groups. So Natalie and I will be cycling through as fast as we can to kind of support. But what we'll be doing in those 24 minutes is pulling up the rubric, and those are linked in the slides. And we're going to look at hopefully one entire student submission, and then as much as we can of a second submission. We'll have a chance to kind of debrief how those went. On this slide here, I'm not sure what slide number we have. Does anybody have that handy, what slide number I'm on?
25.
Thank you. On slide 25, that big blue link is to the rubric. There's a link to the Unit 8 Lesson 1 lesson plan that has these. I also put links, direct links on the slides that we're about to go to. So you're going to have two tabs open. The rubric, hopefully we've had a little chance to look at, and then the written responses. So whichever group you're assigned, the ask is that you go down the rubric. There's 6 rows. Each row, it's binary scoring. It's either a yes or a no, a 1 or a 0. You get the point or you don't. All you have to do is decide if they met the requirements for that row. If they met the requirements, they get the point. If they missed a part, they don't. And it follows pretty steadily with the written response template here. So in the header of each of the slides, there'll be a place for your group to go down 1 to 6, put yes or no, or 1 for the point, 0 for not the point, however you want to mark it. Watch the video first. When you get there with your group, watch the video first, pull up the written responses, compare them to the rubric, and just look for the stuff, right? If you're able to, and you make it all the way through row 6, and if you're stuck and you can't decide, just move on to the next one. We'll have a chance to debrief, and we'll show where to find the answers and all that good stuff. After all the slides for sample 1, there's another set for sample 2, where you can find your group number, watch the video, read the written responses, and compare to the rubric and see how they did. Questions before we jump out, or can anybody summarize? I hate doing, that's the Hokie thing. Who can summarize what I said? But can anybody summarize what I said? Since we're going out for 24 minutes, I really want this to be valuable. What are we about to do? That's fair. That's a Hokie request. With your group of 3, compare the rubric to the written responses, mark off on your column if they got that row or not. Natalie and I will be coming through to check on your progress or ask questions. All right, Allison, for 24 minutes. Hey, thanks, Allison, for putting that in the chat. There we go. Now, can you just follow me to my class tomorrow to summarize what I say? It'll be great. My students diligently work through the rest of semester 1. Just working so hard. Awesome. So 24 minutes in groups of 3 when you are ready, Allison. So I have a few. Cool. Thanks, guys. Looking through the rubric, it looks like most of us got through most of sample 1, and sample 1 actually got 6 out of 6 points. So that's really awesome to see all the everybody found where the students earned the points and all that good stuff. So that's awesome. I thought it was a little ambitious to get to sample 2. Looks like group 9 maybe rocking it out. Instead of boring us going through sample 2, I wanted to show a couple resources of where to go further and see more samples. It's really easy when the kids just do a nice job, right? And hey, they did this, they did that, and check it off. It gets a little trickier when we're trying to find mistakes. So two things. Back in that on slide 25, the link here to the Unit 8 Lesson 1 lesson plan. Code.org has these annotated samples. So sample 2, we didn't get to much. If you have time later, if you go to any of these annotated samples, Code.org took the rubric.
Show your screen.
You mean I haven't been for the last 5 minutes where I was moving my mouse around?
That's what I'm telling you. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Thanks for stopping me before I went any further. So where I went to on this Unit 8 Lesson 1, I see all the cursors there. It looks like we found it. That opened this page. And on this page, on the links for the students, this is for the students. This is front facing. Students can see this. There's these annotated samples. So for instance, annotated sample 2 that most of us didn't have a chance to get to. Code.org took the rubric and highlighted the places that the students got the responses or didn't get the responses. So you'll see this is the text. If you had a chance at all to look at sample 2, or even if you didn't, what's pasted on the student response on this left column is verbatim what they texted. The yellow highlighting is what they checked that, yep, this got that, they got the point. It says, hey, this one earned the point. And again, students can see this, students can use this. Oh, I think it's row 3, they did not get the point. Like, and there's a note, the student says that the code would be longer if there wasn't a list, but there's a note, hey, that doesn't actually answer the question of how you would do it if you didn't have the list. So that it says why they didn't get the point in the places they didn't. So this is again from that Unit 8 Lesson 1 lesson plan. There's 3 samples, like a high, medium, low. So sample 3, the student only got what, 2 points. And the thing to point out there is it's not that the video was bad. It's not that the program wasn't sophisticated enough. It's usually that maybe they just didn't write about it correctly. Or in some cases, maybe they didn't have a function or they didn't have an algorithm. Sometimes it is that the program wasn't sophisticated enough, but oftentimes they just didn't talk about it. So we can front load so we can see students or show students how to get those points. There's kind of a little gameplay to that. The other thing I wanted to point out before we move on slide 36. On slide 36, there's a bit.ly link that takes you to an AP page. Just to tuck away as a place to come back to whenever you do this as an AP test or an AP class ever down the road. I've answered the question that I'm not an AP coordinator 100 times. I really want them to quit asking me. So this has all the information about the AP test. And then eventually, if you scroll down a bit from the College Board, these samples on the left, they're not just code.org samples. So some of them are other programs and other curriculums. But kids can see more video written responses, several, so all the way A through J. And then there's a scoring commentary, one big long document that has the rubric again. Okay, so then it's the same thing, not quite as maybe as user friendly as the code.org ones, but for all those samples A through J. So this is sample A, row 1, why they did get the point or why they didn't get the point. So that's all out there. It's free to, it's you don't have to log in to AP to get that site. It's open and available for all students to use and see. Okay. I think that's enough rubric talk. Stretch break. Natalie, you got some stretches for us? Allison's got some stretches. I'm gonna stop share and Natalie's gonna take us home here.
I'll do that. And here we go.
While you're pulling that up, Reed, that's just the style that AP did with the yes, no binary scoring. That if we were doing this in our classroom and like Natalie's going to talk through, we can score 1 to 10, 1 to 100, however we want. But yeah, the AP scoring is just yes, no. They got to hit all the check marks to get that point. Yeah, yeah, cool. Thanks.
Okay, so this is our last section of the night and how we support our students in the create performance tasks. And it takes us back to what Tim was sharing. So here you have the link to that Unit 8, Lesson 1, and then Unit 8, Lesson 2. And I can show you here, this is Lesson 2. And what it gives you is the Create PT Survival Guide. So if I click on that one, that is going to describe the task and is going to give us what I call my essentials. I don't have the AP, I don't do AP test yet, but like this takeaway 1, takeaway 2 is what I use to create my own grading scale in class. So when I look at this rubric and when I look at all this language, what I'm thinking is, what can I borrow to make my own grading scale or grading rubric and to explain to my admin or parents or students what is it that is essential in that assignment. So for example, number 1, make sure your program has a user interface with both input and output. I click something, I get something. So that will be the one for me. So if you are looking at ways to assess, reading this guide is a good place to start as you plan for your schedules. It gives you, again, the rubrics right there in the rows. And then it gives you some examples and why will be a yes or a no. There is an annotated version of this with the answers, and that's going to be on the Unit 8, Lesson 1. And I was looking at it and I was very happy because it helps my students to understand what I consider correct, but also for us to understand better what is considered acceptable work. So if I look at this one, let's see, an annotated version, written response. Oh, there's the videos too. So if I want to show a student a sample of a video, again, my students don't take the AP test, but especially when they're home and I don't see them for a week, this is something I will require, and I will post an example like this one so they can see what I'm looking at. So a quick screencast-o-matic video and a quick, this is my app working. And this could be a part of the semester test or midterm, but you have a lot of resources here for students to have exemplars. Then there is, let's see, there's another version here. Let's see this written response. There's a lot of things. So these are sample questions. So if you're looking at reflection questions, if you're looking at having the students tell you what their project is about and have that ELA connection piece, being able to describe the purpose of the program. So you have what is acceptable in a computer science classroom, but of course you can always ask for more. You have the samples of code that you're looking for. So in a Google Doc, I can post this in my learning management system, and students have an exemplar, and then they see what I'm looking at. So that's for that unit. It really has a lot of resources for them and for us. So what we would like you to do right now is to take 5 minutes to look at slide 41 and on. Pick one slide and capture your thoughts. You can revisit the Create PT Survival Guide, and definitely that Unit 8 Lesson 1 with all the resources there. So what we would like you to do is to write your name and then answer this question. How do you plan to use the existing projects in the curriculum to help prepare students for the Create PT? Perhaps you're not doing AP this year. So think of it as, how can I use all these rubrics to create some piece of assessment in my upcoming course? So try to apply all these materials to something that you can start using next month with your students. Then how do you plan to help students keep their projects within the scope? That's very important. Sometimes they want to really complicate things, and perhaps the requirement is just, is there an input and an output? So as simple as that, and they get frustrated easily. So how are we going to manage that? And then at the same time, encourage those who are really, really awesome at coding to go for it. And then what other ways do I plan to support students prior to creating this? A question that came up often is, how can I give them more practice? Maybe your students feel that there's not enough practice. What I do is go to that app lab and then create separate tasks on an app. So if we're practicing lists, we're going to have one app lab project just for lists. If we're practicing loops, then another app lab project just for that. And that tool is right there in the landing page. And then any questions that you may have as you think about your class coming up. And we would like you to remember that we have the parking lot also at the end if there's any other additional question. So we are going to go ahead and give you your 5 minutes to jot down some ideas, and then we'll come back together. So individual work, then we'll have an opportunity to share with others in a breakout room. I think we have enough. If you don't find one, please let us know and we will quickly make a copy for you at the end. I think we should have enough slides. We have 1 minute left. And at this time, we would like you to go back to your groups, and we encourage you to continue the conversation and share some of your thoughts and questions and plans for your courses. We'll have 5 minutes for that. So if Alison, can you please help us out with the groups?